sometimes I just really want to keep that music playing. Welcome back to another episode of the Scoop Around the Loop. We got Andrew Springer with us here today. Andrew, how has your week been going?
Bro, it has gone fast. It has gone fast.
It went so fast we didn't do a podcast yesterday.
Yeah, it's. I don't know if I like it. I mean, in the summer, I kind of like it being fast because I like getting football season. But other than that, like, man, I feel like I get to Friday and I'm like, man, I got so much to do still. And so I went on a couple bike rides with Mally. She really likes riding bikes, so we did a couple long rides
yesterday.
No,
because I think it might have been the best weather that we've had.
Yeah, we sat on the patio last night and watched TV, and somehow water was getting into my watering cans. So,
we saw people putting down sod in Urbandale yesterday, and they were setting up sprinklers. So, I don't know.
I don't know how the water got in there.
We also have Tyler Springer, the taller, younger brother. How is your week going?
So far, so good. I got a much overdue haircut, as you can see.
Looks nice.
To start the week.
I'm wearing the hat, which is a clear-cut sign I have not gotten a haircut this week. So.
Yeah, well, I'd get less haircuts if I could wear a hat. It would look like a swim cap on my head when I put one on. But, yeah, the week has gone by fast, which usually means busy with work. So that's good because we're trying to sell houses and a good number of them.
I saw in the comment section that your grandma was trying to sell a house this week as well. How is that going?
I'm not buying that house. That's way too close to my
dad. I think everyone but Tyler is saying yes to that.
Way too close to my dad.
You don't want your dad within walking distance.
Yeah, I need a 20-minute buffer.
Okay. Yeah. My dad's like a 45-minute buffer, and it works out pretty well.
I love my dad to death. He's the best dad ever. I need 20 minutes.
Speaking of Tyler in a hat, get this on there.
Do we need to hide? Yeah, there we go.
Look at that
world.
This isn't working.
Got beard in those pecs. I've been on my dips.
I don't know how to get that adjusted, but look at Tommy.
Can you get us back to where we were?
Hey, I can always guide you home.
I'm still on it in the background in between the cracks.
I got 2 quick local stories, and then I think we're going to end with something I think will be interesting for people that at any point in time in their life are going to be writing an offer on a house that might be in a more competitive situation. Even if it's not in a more competitive situation, I think it'll be a good conversation. So let's get into some local news, and then we'll just fly right through this. So July 25th, which is exactly a week away, the National Balloon Classic starts in Indianola. This thing goes all the way until August 2nd. I think that this is a really cool, unique event that not a lot of states have something that compares to it. You got tons of entertainment. I mean, over 125 hot air balloons are flown throughout this event. They even have 3D drone shows. There's music basically every night of the event. They also have a night glow event that I think is 2 or 3 nights of the whole time that they're putting this on. We already missed the Sky Parade. You probably saw that in the news, the pictures of that. And the balloon flight over Des Moines happened just a few days ago.
Yeah, Sammy was in that, wasn't she, Tyler?
Yeah.
Did she do that?
Program.
Yeah. And then Warren County Summer Arts Festival is the 26th and 27th. That coincides with this event as well. While you're out there, you can get up in a balloon yourself. You schedule that on their website, but they also have food trucks, beer and wine tent, breakfast vendors, so much stuff going on, and it supports local charities as well. They advised on their website to arrive as early as possible, especially if you want to get your own flight. Bring chairs, blankets, and follow weather updates because if it's too hot, they don't fly the balloons. So Jen and I were going to do this at one point in time, and Jen was very, very happy because on the way there, they messaged us saying it is just way too hot and we cannot fly the balloons. Also, wind gets into a factor with this. Have either of you guys gone to this event?
I'd never have in my life. Actually.
You've been there,
Yes.
Tyler?
Yeah, we go like every year.
Do you really?
Yeah.
You enjoy it?
Me and Hannah are big on like, again, like Iowa State Fair, this, just different. Maybe we haven't been every year, but yeah, we've been, Hannah and I together have been a handful of times, and I know that growing up, I remember going a couple of times.
Have you gotten up in a balloon?
No, heck no. I can't think of a more terrifying thing to me.
My hands sweat thinking about it.
Like, I think the slow pace you're going, like skydiving is more attractive to me because it's start and stop, and you just got to push through, you know, other than flying up into the air, you got to push through like a few minutes of total fear. Whereas this
Skydiving, you have to do the jump though. Like you have to,
but like it's over quick. It's a blip on the radar. Whereas this, you're just floating up in a basket, looking over the edge and stuff. I couldn't imagine anything more
to anyone watching right now, you guys got to comment skydiving or hot air balloon, because I would much rather be in a hot air balloon than volunteer to go skydiving. Andrew, where are you at with this?
I mean, I'm with Tyler. Like heights terrify me a little bit, but like even on like a bridge, like I'm good. Like I know that bridge ain't falling. But yeah, hot air balloon. I get that they don't really crash and all that stuff. I just don't. I don't trust them.
Well, they crash. I bet
they crash. Yeah.
Not as they have a whole festival.
That adds more to me not wanting to go up there.
Okay. And I get claustrophobic too. My grandma's always made fun of me about it. She's like, she thinks it's a weird thing, but like, I told her once, like, I just want to punch everybody. Like when I'm in a room and I'm crowded, and especially in a hot air, but like, where am I going to go? I might just jump because I don't like being crowded. So
you would rather skydive?
I would rather do neither, but skydiving, like Tyler said, is I think a little more of a thrill. Like doing the slingshot, like at Worlds of Fun, like that. Even that's like, I don't know, but then you do it, and it was fun.
Yeah, no, like I would be up in this hot air balloon completely petrified the entire time. And that would be a drag for everybody involved.
Okay.
Like I can't, heights do scare me. I'm afraid of heights. I've just gotten over the fear of like getting on my roof and like putting Christmas lights on and stuff like that. That's not too bad anymore. But like I remember a couple years ago, we went to Coors Field. I went to a Rockies game, and the tickets were this first row in like the upper balcony, and I made us move back. Luckily, there was no one there because it was a Rockies game, so there's plenty of space. But yeah, I'm good on that. But I do love the National Balloon Classic. I think it's a good time. You just sit in the field, bring you some lawn chairs and a big blanket. We usually kind of like pack a picnic / sneak in a picnic. I don't know if I think you're allowed to have to bring in your own stuff, but you can buy drinks. There's tons of food trucks. There's different things for kids, bounce house, but we usually just bring like a game of our own. There's a concert going on, but I think the balloons are pretty cool looking. There's a Remax one.
Yep. Not
a precision one, but a Remax one, and there's some different animals and things like that. And like you said, it's just something you don't see every day.
Yeah, I definitely think it's a unique event that people should check out if they hadn't before. Because the other thing too, when you went, has it ever been like extremely crowded?
Well, crowded, but there's 7 nights of it.
Yeah,
and you are literally like in a field.
Yeah,
like I don't know what they use that for the other parts of the year, but it's literally just a giant field. So it's not, you don't have to fight finding your specific seats or anything like that. Usually there's plenty of room left in the field, and pretty much every seat in there, unless you want to be up by the stage, is a good seat for looking at giant hot air balloons.
Right.
So
okay, so
I recommend it if people are looking for something to do, I definitely recommend it. Go check it out.
And get up in a hot air balloon and tell us how it goes. The next story I want to ask you guys about before I pull up the slide. Do any of you know how Windsor Heights got its name?
No. I'm guessing some guy named Windsor sitting on a hill.
Is Windsor like based off of Windsor Palace? And there's that hill right there at 63rd and University.
Tyler is pretty close. So Axios is the one that put out this article. I saw it. I thought I would just grab it because I always think this type of stuff is interesting, how stuff got their name. In 1941, residents of a small community were fearing an annexation by Des Moines because they're right there, and they wanted to control their own taxes and services. They choose to name it Windsor at first due to its local presence of a school and a church, ties to a settler named Henry Clay Windsor.
So I was kind of right.
Yes, you were kind of right. And then Windsor alone felt too plain, so they called it Windsor Heights, inspired by a nearby plat called Webster Heights for extra flair. And then the vote to become a community themselves went down to a 300 to 222 vote. Windsor Heights officially became its own city on July 19th, 1941.
Wow, they
So
were
tomorrow.
They had no idea what was coming for them when they became a city.
What do you guys think about when you hear Windsor Heights?
I think of bebops.
Okay.
I think of Speed Trap.
I was just gonna say I think of Speed Trap.
Our dad, where I don't think it's there. No, it's not there anymore because Aldi is there. There used to be a Subway next to the Bankers Trust, which is next to Dairy Queen. If you know, you know, right? And the Subway, our dad used to manage, and I've always been like a numbers guy. I've like just numbers have always, and I'll be like, Dad, how many people you have working today? He'd be like, 5. I'm like, how about tomorrow? 6. But there is he managed that Subway, then the one that, again, I don't know if it's still there, the Hy-Vee on Grand and Railroad. I don't know if there's a Subway there still. Managed that. But anyways, that's what I always remember about Windsor Heights. And I remember we used to, because he was the manager, we got like to watch the fireworks on the back of Subway. I think before Walmart was built. I remember, or before Sam's Club was built.
Is that Walmart technically in Windsor Heights, or is it in Western?
No, it's Windsor Heights.
That's Windsor Heights? Okay.
Yep, it's 73rd. They're on the 73rd Street side.
Walnut Creek YMCA. That was a big part of my childhood, but
that's
Walnut
West
Creek
Des Moines.
YMCA, yeah, it says 948 73rd Street, West Des Moines, I guess technically. But that's right across the street. So I was in Windsor Heights a lot for that.
Right. I mean, yeah, well, I feel like anyone that drives past that area kind of assumes it's all Windsor Heights, but it's actually a fairly small little area. I just looked it up while you were talking, Andrew. Do you guys know Windsor Heights population?
It's like 6,000.
But yeah, it's like just over 5, according to the 2023
Which is
census.
because of apartment buildings, obviously. There's not nearly that many houses.
No, yeah, it's just small communities like this I always kind of find interesting that they just at one point in time decided to protect themselves from getting annexed by, it says Des Moines, but I almost wonder, yeah, because West Des Moines officially became a city like early 1900s, right?
Yeah, I mean, and it's right attached to Clive. I think of Clive as West Des Moines and Windsor Heights as Des Moines.
Yeah.
Honestly, especially when showing houses.
Yeah.
It's all the same.
But they got a nice little pocket there. They got their own Hy-Vee. They got apparently a Walmart.
I mean, for
the highest tax percentage in the city too.
Is it really?
Yeah, that's one thing I think about too.
So they protected their community to have their taxes be higher than everyone else around them.
Well, per capita, they by far have the most commercial development. Again,
yeah,
a Hy-Vee, a Walmart, a Sam's Club, a Dairy Queen, a Bebop's, a couple gas stations, all for 6,000 people.
Yeah. I'm getting all mixed up. So Mayhem Comics is technically in West Des Moines, right?
Clive.
That's Clive.
Yeah, on the other side of that street. I knew that because we had a listing right there. Because I was gonna say 515 Brewing is a part of Windsor Heights, but that's Clive.
Well, let's look it up because south of University might be. Yeah, it's Clive.
We're getting distracted. What's Clive's population?
13,000.
19. Okay.
Clive is by far the weirdest city or town.
Just like the weird little sliver.
Yeah, it goes, and then at the end, doesn't it like jet up northwest?
Yeah.
It ends at Meredith and 100 and it's what is that? North Warrior Lane. You can stand in the intersection and touch Urbandale, Waukee, and Clive. So,
all right, here's a quiz to see if you guys know your geography. What are the four corner states? The only place in go, Thomas.
The four corner states?
Yeah, the only place in the country where you can stand in four states at the same time.
Colorado's one of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
3, 2, 1.
Nevada, Arizona. What would be the fourth one?
It's not Nevada.
It's not Nevada.
Dang it. What is it? Arizona, Colorado,
Utah, and New Mexico.
Yeah. Okay. Dang it.
Anyways.
I was talking on the phone with Andrew the other day and referred to the area around Sioux City as the tri-state area. And
have you ever heard it called that, Tyler?
What? South Dakota,
Iowa, Nebraska.
Yeah. And then Sioux City is in Iowa and Nebraska.
I think of that as Siouxland. Not actually. But if anything, it would be Siouxland because South Sioux City, I think, is in Nebraska. And then you have Sioux Falls just on the other side of
in South Dakota. Yeah.
It's a ways away.
Tri-state. What's the first thing you think about when you hear Sioux City?
This dude thinks we're on the East Coast. You can't just throw those terms out there.
Sorry that my fiance grew up in the Sioux City area and has referred to it as the tri-state area.
Well, I guess I didn't know that. I guess she knows more than us. We should ask Avery what he calls it.
Okay. The last topic I had was a little bit of a real estate conversation. I was thinking about contingencies or terms in a contract that could potentially make your offer more appealing to a seller. So what I thought I would do is just throw out a potential term and have you guys rate it on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being really appealing to a seller, 1 being like, this isn't really much of a factor. It's nice, but it won't really move the needle. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, let's start off with you get a conventional offer as a seller and the other offers have been FHA versus VA. How appealing would that be?
4.
A 4?
5, right in the middle. It would depend on the house.
If a FHA offers, let's say $6,000 more than a conventional, you got peeling paint. It's not going to cost $6,000 to deal with the peeling paint. So right. The FHA would be more appealing in that regard.
Well, yeah, and
all things the same.
You would take the conventional. So yeah. Probably like what Tyler said, somewhere around like a 3 or a 4, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. If it was an older house, I would say 3 as like not all that attractive, right? That's the right way to go on the scale. And then if it was a newer house, it'd be a 9 or an 8, in my opinion, because you don't have to worry about as much. Because we just had our listing in the Lower Beaver neighborhood, 1941 and 42 built home. And just last second, a couple of days before closing, the appraisal came back and we were tasked with correcting stuff to get it past the FHA piece on the appraisal, and it got all done. No problem. But
we knew it would be an issue though.
When you accepted that offer, you knew that was a potential. for that to happen. It is unfortunate that it always seems to happen last minute.
And I don't know if we get it. I don't care. There is a lot of other stuff that I feel like if he was gonna pick, if the FHA piece was gonna, or the garage is gonna get picked apart because of, which is what we ended up fixing. If that was gonna get picked apart because of the FHA appraisal, there could have been a whole heck of a lot more. It almost seemed like they were just trying to tag it with something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Conspiracy against Tyler Springer.
How much of like, let's say you have a seller that has an older house, but it appears like they're maintaining it really, really well. When you walk through, you don't see any red flags or anything like that. Does the FHA or VA offer really scare you at all?
Yeah, I probably put in like a 6 or a 7 or something like that. Like, I mean, a 7 probably. I mean,
Being
there's
like really concerning.
Yeah, there's just been things that I just haven't thought about that have popped up before. But there's also been houses where I thought stuff would pop up and nothing popped up on the FHA appraisal. So, yeah, I mean, a lot of this stuff too is pretty easy to work around, putting railings up, or the biggest scare I would have or can think of is maybe like having to do concrete work because of like trip hazards. I know they call that out. Which can get costly, obviously, but a lot of times we're talking about peeling paint or handrails or replacing trim, stuff like that. But
Okay. Andrew, is there anything concerning when an FHA VA offer comes in? If you think the house is well maintained?
No, I mean, I think we if we're doing our job on the front end, you know, even if we don't want to do the work, you know, even if the seller's like, I don't want to do this, like at least if we know it's coming in, you know, there shouldn't be anything that would catch us off guard. I think our job as agents is to, you know, we can't prevent everything, but I think we can make our sellers and buyers aware of things. And, you know, so it's just kind of the worst case scenarios, right? Like, hey, this could happen. And I think if we're doing those things, then, you know, that there's not as much to worry about.
Have you had
Tuna in water?
When I first started, there was a lot of misconceptions out there about VA and FHA taking longer to close. Have you guys had any experience with that? Like them taking longer to close?
I not necessarily, but I've always just kind of feel like those are always just like 45-day close for that reason. Because that's just kind of, I mean, there is extra hoops to jump through. But good quality lenders should be able to get you closed up in 30 days.
And I know I've talked to a few lenders before that it's not so much like, yeah, you're closer to that 40, 45 days, but as long as that expectation is put out in writing. The frustrating thing on the lender side is there's a lot of stuff that they're just waiting to get back. Whereas if it's a conventional loan, they're not waiting for too much. They can just stay on top of stuff. And,
well, with a buyer, generally speaking, if they're qualified for an FHA loan and not at all for a conventional, because some people go FHA even when they could get a conventional for various reasons. But typically I found that maybe they have some extra documents that they need to get in to prove different things and prove income, stuff like that. So sometimes that can take a little bit.
Yeah, and I think it's important to note, you know, like I know like things that are out there to scare us, you know, that can scare us. Who is it? Oh, it's Jen, isn't it?
So speaking of scared, Thomas doesn't have his microphone on. He's afraid to speak.
Well, the dog was freaking out. That's why I had it muted, because Jen was coming home and the dog's excited to see her. All right.
Hey, it's good to know. It's good to show we're not robots. We're humans. But no, what I was going to say was I think we're kind of bred and trained in this industry to like only look for conventional or cash. But in all reality, FHA is, we're not FHA haters. FHA allows more buyers to be in the pool. And so I don't want to discourage people from getting an FHA loan because sometimes that's the best option. I think just as a seller or as a list agent, we need to be aware of what could go wrong.
Yeah, and the house I'm sitting in right now, I ain't scared. I got an FHA loan, and the difference in interest rate that I got for the FHA loan compared to what I could have got for conventional was like 0.3, 0.4% or something like that. So like
Yep.
again, in certain situations, now I remember there's a multi-offer situation because I was able to easily afford this. I went without my commission. You know what I mean? So the seller, by taking my FHA offer, made more money than they would have because they didn't pay me any commission, you know?
Yeah. For example, Green State right now, FHA, VA, USDA loans are 0.5% less than conventional. So,
Yeah, they definitely get a bad rap, I would say. But if you're dealing with a house that is old and is beat up, definitely a concern, I would say. But a lot of times you see those on the MLS and it says cash or conventional only.
Right.
So that's something that we as list agents need to do, is have a conversation with them. If they do have a house that needs some repairs here and there, do we only want to make it cash and conventional type of financing? If we do that, that's going to lower or shrink our buyer pool a little bit. If we do make FHA available, we have to be prepared, have money set aside, or expect to possibly have to do some extra work after negotiating the first deal and likely negotiating the inspection stuff too, because typically that FHA piece comes a week or two after you get through the regular home inspection and the negotiation that goes along with that. So doubling up on it too can be costly and annoying. But again, all those conversations we have with our sellers way ahead of time.
So let's talk about the one other common way that people buy houses. Not as common, but we've talked about the big four so far, basically, with conventional FHA, VA, and cash. How much more appealing would a cash offer be versus conventional? And then I got to dip out 1 second.
I would say for me, the only thing that could possibly make a difference is cash. You're going to be able to close sooner. But a lot of times, like if someone offered to buy this house, but I had to be out in 2 weeks, I would say no. You know, so a lot of times, like especially in a house that someone's living in, the attractiveness of a cash offer, being able to close quickly, isn't all that attractive. Either way, the money's green. So to me, it's kind of equal. I think it could get into a different situation if it's like, again, like we talked about, FHA or cash, or someone that's putting a 0% down or 3% down or something like that. Cash is a better, stronger finance, but
what about the extra factor of a cash offer potentially waiving appraisal?
yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the big reasons you take a cash offer. So that quick close. But to Tyler's point, I mean, all other things considered, it's money to a seller. You know, I still kind of laugh when people talk about how to, who bought cars 20 years ago. They say, we'll come in with cash. I mean, it's so easy to borrow anymore that doesn't really matter to a dealership. And in fact, sometimes the dealerships do,
they want to finance.
They in-house financing, so they're getting interest. So cash isn't that appealing to them. So, it's definitely changed. I mean, cash is still king, because you're not paying interest on cash. However, to a seller, whether the check is coming from the bank or it's a wad of cash, it's all the same thing. So
yeah, again, all things equal, it's probably cash is probably more attractive than conventional, just because there's less things that could happen. But I also find that, again, people use like, oh, it's a cash offer to justify a low ball offer,
Right.
So I don't care about that.
And I think about, like, I mean, obviously when you have a cash offer and they have proof of funds with offer, it's very well guaranteed, right? But you also think about, I mean, if it's a conventional loan that they're pre-approved for, I mean, how many of those do you see fall out of contract because of financing? I mean, I can think of one time that someone was pre-approved for a conventional loan and ended up not getting approved. I can think of two stories, and one of them was a mistake of their own. And then the other one was just the lender not doing very good due diligence. And in that case, we were notified like 2 days after being under contract. So it wasn't like the sellers were really out that much, you know? So, I mean, if they were the exact same offer, I guess I would take the cash, but it wouldn't be enough of a factor that
to
it would make.
justify a low price.
Yeah, no, not at all.
I also think who the agent is on the other side matters too. You know, like if you got one offer, you work with it. If you've got multiple offers, I think how the agent themselves, I think definitely factors into it. Like, do they respond to things, or are they just difficult people, just mad at the world? And like, I don't want to work with those people here. I don't think our sellers would, you know? So I think all those things kind of factor into it. Like, the nicest person in the world, it's the same as, you know, the conventional is maybe more than the cash, you know, all those things. I think all those things matter. It's not just one or the other. So
this is kind of a small one, but I wanted to talk about it. How much more confident does it make you when they automatically send that pre-approval letter with the offer, as opposed to saying, hey, we'll get you pre-approval tomorrow or in 2 days?
I mean, I can't recall one recently where we didn't have a pre-approval with it, to be honest with you.
I feel like that's just kind of standard. I mean,
it is very standard, but I've seen it done. I've seen agents write offers and saying, hey, here's the situation.
If we're in multi-bid, I'm going to go with the one that already has the letter.
Right. Yeah.
Or lean that way.
And if they don't, we're not taking it off the market. Or
until you see it,
or I probably wouldn't advise them to officially accept the deal until you see it.
Yeah, most of the time,
I'm down to like give a verbal, like, yo, yeah, they accept. The sellers accept the offer. As soon as we send the pre-approval, it's yours. I'll keep you posted on showings and things like that. But I've definitely been in a situation. I've been in a situation, my own personal self, where I thought I'd have a pre-approval letter, and then it turns out they needed a couple more things for me. And then it took me a couple days to get to it, you know? So from personal experience, I definitely wanted to accept the offer, like, you know, in writing until we see that pre-approval. I'm down to say verbal.
And then as far as representing a buyer, you guys would pretty much never write an offer without a pre-approval, right?
Right, we'd never write an offer.
Yeah,
we said no.
Tyler.
No, I mean, there's been a couple of times where it's like investors, for instance, like I need to call up my bank and get one sent.
But you know they're good for it.
Yeah, like a lot of times our boy Jared won't send the pre-approval until like he's able to go over like the specific property with the buyer, maybe send numbers, and so. A lot of times we don't actually have the pre-approval letter while we're typing up the offer, but it's on the way, type of thing. But.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about what I think is kind of a big one, or at least what I think would swing an offer for a lot of my sellers I represent. Completely waiving inspection. And then while we're at it, we could talk about doing an inspection for buyer's knowledge only if you want to as well.
Yeah, I mean, this one, again, all things considered equal, this is a 10 as like very attractive. Like, yeah, this is very, very, very attractive, all things considered. Now, again, is it something where if one offer in a multi-bid situation offered full price and wanted to do an inspection versus this other offer was 10 grand less and waived the inspection, then it comes down to the house. Like, if you're confident that your house doesn't have 10 grand worth of repairs to be done, then it
probably comes down to the seller as well, too. I mean, just like how risk tolerant they are, I guess, is what I would say. Andrew, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, we literally just closed on a house this morning where we had the buyer, and that's how we won the deal. Was a couple things. We were a little higher on price. We did a delayed possession today.
We'll talk about that here in a second.
And then we didn't ask for a warranty, and we said we're going to do an inspection, but we just want to make sure that there's nothing crazy we're missing. and we won that. It was multi. I think there was 3 offers, and so we
did it for buyer's knowledge only, is how you wrote it up.
Yeah, and I think part of what made that easier was the seller had provided, kind of a list of everything they've done, and so we knew a lot of the work, if we did an inspection, would be under warranty. And then we did the inspection, and there was nothing in there that was like out of like things out of their control to fix. And so and then also factoring in that the home that they found was kind of at the tip of where they wanted to be price wise, and it made sense to go that route because they knew they probably wouldn't find a house quite like this one in the area they were looking. So
you want to talk really quick about what that inspection for buyer's knowledge only is, what that means when you're ready?
You still have an inspection period, but you've basically said, I'm not asking for any remedies. I'm just making sure that nothing is, there's nothing that is wrong with the house that we couldn't already see when we wrote the offer. So let's say an outlet doesn't work. Well, that's not really a material adverse fact. Like nothing's changed. It doesn't really change the value of the house. An outlet's 30 cents, right? But the inspector comes in and gets in the attic. That's not something we do. Gets in the attic and sees there's a bat infestation, or there's the trusses are collapsing, or you're in the basement and you see the wall is bulging really bad. Like those are things that okay, like we're not taking that on and we're walking. We're not going to ask, and in some cases a buyer might say, holy cow, like we'll deal with that. But it just says we're not going to ask for anything. I think we asked a question on this last one just because we wanted to make sure it wasn't a structural issue, and it wasn't. It's just bad install. And so, but again, it lets the buyer or the seller know, like, hey, we're not asking for anything, but if it's major, we're gonna walk. We'll get our earnest money back. And if it's major, they probably want to deal with it anyways. So,
and I will say it's in some instances too. I've represented buyers where they did for buyer's knowledge only. Repair item came up that was going to cost like $4,000 or $5,000 fix. They were like, hey, we're going to walk. And I had kind of told the listing agent that, and they ended up just coming to us with a new price, and we ended up getting it under contract as well. We just changed the price. So I will say, like, in my opinion, I think it's a big difference if you're representing the seller and they're completely not doing an inspection versus just doing for buyer's knowledge only. Just because there is the potential that they might ask to lower the price or they might walk completely. But it is a little bit more assurances than your typical inspection period where they're going to request repairs almost guaranteed. I mean, have you guys had one recently where no inspection request was made?
Yeah,
the last two.
Really?
The last two listings that have sold. And then the one before that, or one of the prior ones, we knew what was going to come up because we did a walkthrough with them before we listed it. And so they didn't fix it, but they knew it was coming. And so, those are things that, we can prepare our sellers for too. So even if no one's waiving the inspection, we've already fixed everything.
Yeah. Can I tell you guys kind of a wild story that I had with the seller once? And I'm not going to name where it was or who the seller was.
Sure.
I had a plumber friend once that was pretty handy that was selling his house.
Oh, I know who it is.
You might not know who it is. But before the inspection, he went down to the basement bathroom and kind of made a plumbing error on purpose, just so the inspector had something to find. And when I called him to talk about it, he's like, yeah, just put that there. So I knew for sure the inspector would have something to write down because I know that they never just walk out saying there's nothing. So it was, wouldn't recommend it, but it was quite an interesting strategy.
Someone was telling me the other day, it's kind of sort of related, but they sold their house, not with us. Probably an agent that we know, actually. But they sold their house, and the people asked him to put a radon system in, and him and his brother installed the radon system. And they've never, ever have done anything like that. Like, they know how to install flooring. But, like, he did spend $1,200 or whatever. And he went
on that note, I would say to future buyers, it is really important when your agent is writing up the inspection request to kind of think through what they're writing on that. Because technically, if you write something to the seller saying install a radon mitigation system, what those seller did is completely fine. But if you say install a radon mitigation system by a licensed company
and provide invoice,
what they did is completely wrong.
Provide a paid invoice.
Mm-hmm.
I had a buyer and that along that regard a couple months ago. I don't know if I told you this, Andrew, but the contractor came like knocking on his door after he bought it, saying that
work wasn't paid for.
Yeah, that they were going to put a lien on the house and stuff. I think it ended up getting paid, but work.
You don't have to worry about those liens until you sell your house. So.
Right.
Okay. What about we already kind of talked about quick closing a little bit with cash, but how important is quick closing / like a flexible closing mindset to a seller, do you think?
Flexible closing is important for sure. I think I would rate that 7.5 on your scale.
You think that makes a big difference for a lot of sellers? You think that's appealing to be able to just pick the close date?
Yeah, if you're juggling different things, juggling moving, juggling kids starting school or new jobs starting, and just different things like that, I think it could be very attractive to just let them choose.
What about you, Andrew?
Yeah, again, the one we closed on today, like I think we wanted a quicker close date, but we just kind of said, when do you guys want to close? And then give them, a little delayed possession too. I think it's important though, like as a list agent, to kind of hear why they want a quick close, because you can use that to your advantage as a seller. With they have their rentals up, or they've sold their house. This was a real example. They sold their house and everything's legal, right? In here that we did. The agent, had told us they got to be out of their house by this date. Okay, they waited till like the 10th day, and it was a relatively quick close. They waited till like the 10th day, business day. So that meant there's 4 weekend days in there. They waited until like that 10th day to give us their request. Then my seller was like, well, here's, I think, what we want to do. And I'm like, well, we have 3 days to think about this. And 4th of July was in there. So that gave us another day. And that got us within like a week or so of the actual closing date. Well, guess what? The buyer doesn't really have a lot of leverage, because if this deal falls through, they got to walk and find something else and be homeless for a little bit. So I think, quick closing can actually work against a buyer if they have to be in a house at a certain time. So, don't put all the cards on the table when you're, we can do quick closing if it works for the seller. Great. Maybe don't share why they want a quick closing.
Let's talk about delayed possession. You guys just mentioned that one you closed on today is a delayed possession. They closed today. When are they actually moving in?
After this weekend. They get possession tonight, but it was a chain transaction. So we're the first in the chain. It just gave the seller opportunity to move out while they were waiting for the other seller to move out, and so, it reduces stress. I think when I got my house, I think I gave them a 2-day extra possession, and they said, the agent told, and it was a lower offer. One, the agent is like, they knew you were an agent, so they kind of knew that you knew price. And then also, having the extra couple days was worth thousands to them, like in terms of the stress that it reduced.
And with it being a couple days,
Look at that guy.
You're not getting into situations where you're charging those sellers rent to rent back.
Nope.
No.
Look at those claws.
And he's the chillest cat ever.
Tyler, how appealing do you think delayed possession is?
Delayed possession, if the house is vacant, they don't care at all. Probably in terms of sellers being offered delayed possession by their buyers. But if the house is being lived in right up until closing, I would think it's very important. And something that I always recommend depending on the buyer situation, especially people coming from like a rental or something like that to where their lease isn't up. It could be, to me, if I was a seller, I would think it could be worth a couple $1,000s to have some of that time to move out at your own pace, get it cleaned, that type of thing. Just that stress and that weight off your back of having everything boom, 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 ready to go.
And like, honestly, as a buyer, I don't love that like awkward space where the house is technically yours and something could happen to it while the seller is in it. But the way I see most transactions go down, I can see, like you said, Tyler, that's really, really appealing for a seller just because in normal circumstances, you would be talking about packing up the U-Haul, going to your closing.
Maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. And going to your closing and doing all of that in one day. Or, you know, it could just be a little less stress-free. So,
yep.
I think as long as the delayed possession agreement is well written, it's not that big of a deal, especially if you're a buyer in a situation where you were renting. So your lease is probably going on for another week or two. Hopefully, your move's not going to be stressful, so you can close and then let them have a few days. What about shortening the inspection period? I mean, in most offers I see in the Des Moines area, most agents seem to put 10 business days down. Does it make it any more appealing to you if they say 5 business days, 7 business days?
All things considered equal, yeah, I think so. Just kind of gets things wrapped up a little bit, especially when you're talking like 10 or 14 days compared to 5. It just, from a seller's perspective, allows for less time to get second opinions or quotes in and things like that. And just kind of ensures things move along quickly. And especially when you're talking like 5 business days, worst case scenario, the deal has to go back on the market. You're not out 10 business days of that thing being off the market and not getting any attention or marketing or showings or anything like that. And you can just get back in the game much, much quicker.
Andrew?
Yeah, I think a shorter, like Tyler said, if it's shorter, you can wrap it up a little quicker. I think also if it's shorter, it gives you, like we're in a situation, for example, like if a seller has a subject to sale offer on a property, they could, if it's their buyer has a shorter inspection window, they could wait to perform on that other one, just to make sure the inspection works out, and before moving forward. So it allows so many more things downstream with a faster inspection period. So we're giving away a lot of seekers today. I
know. I think this is a really valuable 15, 20 minutes.
We're from a different cloth, and
I got one
box.
I got one more when it comes to inspection periods that I've tossed into an offer that's helped us win it too. We did a shortened inspection period, but then we also said, hey, during inspection period, you could still keep the home on the market if you want to try to get a backup offer. Because if your contract is accepted and you're in inspection period, you still have the first place. So if a backup offer comes in, they can't kick you out unless you can't come to an agreement on inspection.
Yeah.
So we knew we were going to get that inspection done quick. We told them, hey, go ahead and keep it on market. We're going to send you this inspection report before you can even get a backup offer. So we weren't really worried, but that ended up helping us get our kind of lower offer accepted. So it was something.
Everyone knows the deal's not actually set in stone until the fat lady sings, and the fat lady is the inspection in this case. So the quicker you can get that wrapped up, can help you plan your move much easier too. Then, and you can
Yeah, I mean, once inspection period's done, really all you're waiting for is appraisal, which most of the times in appraisals end up being fine.
like
We're in,
odds. Yeah,
yeah,
good
we're
odds.
we're in kind of a shifting market, so I've been seeing more and more come in low, but it's still extremely uncommon. Maybe the buyer makes a stupid mistake and loses out on financing. I've seen that happen. And then maybe there's a title issue that comes up on the seller side. But if a title issue comes up, a majority of times the home's still going to close. But your inspection period is kind of the big one. It seems to be the most common reason.
By far, 90%.
Yeah.
80%.
And we're still sitting at a market. I think homes are falling out of contract, like 20% of homes that go under contract or something like that, which is way higher than what it was 2021, 2022, but still nothing crazy. And like Tyler said, a majority of them are some sort of inspection issue.
Mm-hmm.
This is kind of a unique one, and I think it's kind of up to your buyer's agent to kind of pull out of the seller's agent if this is something they would even want. But offering a home of choice addendum and giving the seller a time period to find their next home, how appealing do you think something like that is?
I mean, if a seller doesn't have a home identified, like they really don't know where they're going to go, I think it's, I mean, great. It would also depend on the term of the home of choice addendum. Like if it's like, we'll give you 2 weeks and then we're moving forward, or if it's like, we'll give you 2 weeks and then if you can't find anything, we'll cancel. You know, I think those are two different things. But yeah, I mean, if the seller doesn't know where they're going, any period of time that they can search is good.
What time period do you normally see? Do you normally see people right up 14 days?
2 weeks.
Tyler, how appealing would that be if you were a seller?
Yeah, I agree with Andrew. Again, depending on the situation, if you don't have a house, that can be very appealing because then you don't have to feel like you have to just pick one that's good enough, can afford the time to find one that you really, really love instead of kind of settling on a house because you're in a time crunch with this other closing date. Again, all this comes down to agent to agent, agent to seller or buyer to seller, having conversations and trying to figure out like what people want.
What about, this is one that I'm going to be honest, like I'm going to put a hand up here. I don't know how much I really focus on this unless it's extremely low. What if a buyer put out an offer there that had like a higher than normal amount for earnest money? Do you talk to the seller about that? Does it change your opinion?
Yeah, I mean, on a $200,000 house, if you see $10,000 earnest money or even $5,000 earnest money, to me that may be able to show that like they're well financed more than anything, or that like they have good they're in good standing on the financing side of things, and the likelihood of the deal falling apart from financing, I think, shrinks a little bit. But yeah, I can't think that's happened before. I can't think of specific ones where we're well over 200 homes sold in our career, where if the deal fell apart, where the seller kept the earnest money. I mean, it's happened before, but again, I can't think of like the specific deals.
It's pretty rare. I mean, we know, I feel like the contract has a lot more protections for buyers than it does really for sellers, especially if it's a seller.
It could be, I feel like that, and everything could be, a buyer could make a case for just about everything or manipulate certain situations to make it seem like their reason for backing out is covered in the purchase agreement. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Andrew, if an offer comes in with a higher than normal earnest money amount, does that change your opinion on the offer? Do you talk to the sellers about that?
I mean, I think it's again, is it multiple offers? Because there's so many contingencies in our contract that allow the buyer to get out of it and get their money back. And so is it just keeping them in it so you don't walk away. You know, if it's a situation where the agent's like, man, this is the fourth home that they've got under contract and we've had to cancel the others. Well, yeah, then I want a huge earnest money deposit. If they're just going to cancel because, you know, they got cold feet. But if it's just, I think earnest money is kind of pointless anymore, to be honest with you. I mean, because you can get out of it. So you can get out of it. You can get out of it so easily.
Yeah. A majority of contracts that I've had come out of contract, I don't think I can name you one that the seller kept their earnest money.
Well, the most recent one that we had earlier this year, the buyer just canceled like a couple of days later, and I'm pretty sure told Andrew, like, just without Andrew even mentioning it, like they could keep their earnest money.
And the other side came back and said, we actually can't keep the earnest money, so you can have it back anyways, and we'll sign a full release. Like, okay.
It's a reload thing.
Yep.
Okay, last one. This is kind of a rare one.
I love how you said this would be a short episode.
I didn't realize we're giving away a lot of gold on this last part. I didn't realize how long.
Since we're already at a way above way longer than a short episode, it's been bugging me all day, and I just realized it. And I was going to ask why that was the background, but I thought the background was the onion themed.
Oh, no, it's a leaf. There's different kinds of leaves.
Yeah, I see the maple leaves now. But I just this entire time I thought you had the onion background on. I was like, what in the world? Is this satire or something?
This would be kind of a rare instance. And this would probably be a distressed seller. But how likely do you think you would be in winning a contract if you wrote it saying we'll accept the property with the possessions in it? Any possessions you don't want to take, just leave it.
If we're talking, you know, our offer is $15,000 less than another offer, I don't think it matters to a seller. If it's, you know,
if it's junk, it can cost quite a bit of money to get rid of a large amount of junk.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, I think it just depends on the number, but I do think that's something. It's not something sellers having to pay out of pocket. They just won't collect as much at closing. But they're not having to arrange a dumpster. They're not having to take time to either do it themselves or pay to have someone come out and do it. And like you said, like, it's not like it's a family of 5 that's just moving, you know, like they're not giving up their possessions, but it's like an estate, you know, or like a as is type property where it's so dilapidated. I think that is a strength of position for an offer, is to say, hey, we'll take care of all that stuff. Anything you want to leave, we'll take care of. You can sort, you can go through your stuff. We're not saying you have to leave everything. I think that's more important. Say, whatever you don't want to take, we'll take care of.
First of all, Jen, since you're on the podcast, might as well just come on the podcast. If you're trying to be slick, sneaking through the background.
She's just judging us. You can't judge us.
I feel like making a peanut butter jelly sandwich or something.
She ran away.
To this point, I actually posted on my Instagram as part of a photo dump the other day, but I showed a client of ours a house. It's like a hoarder house.
I love that upstairs door. Was that the same house?
That was a different house. That upstairs doors was crazy. I was just even like, anyways, like if that hoarder house, like even if you offered $50,000 above list price, like I don't think, and said, but everything has to be cleared out, I don't think they would or could accept it. You know what I mean? Because it's like, nah, this stuff is in the house and it's a part of and needs to be factored in. So there's certain situations like that. I think most often this house would, or this type of thing would be important to investors, or in that like investor situation, you're buying something, a hoarder house or a house that's been vacated quickly, whether through foreclosure or eviction or something like that, or like a trust thing, or I could see like on the wealthier side of things, someone's like second home, or a home that they just don't spend a lot.
I've seen situations where like you're saying there, Tyler, it's a second home where they put in the agent remarks, seller prefers to sell possessions with house, and they have value associated to it, but not
out of
much
town,
if they're willing to just,
somewhere.
yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes, especially in again, nothing that I have personally dealt with, but I'm sure a lot of the higher end agents, whether here or elsewhere in the country, like some of the furniture stuff in some homes are like, you can't put that in a mid-century modern house or a farmhouse, So
On the possessions note too, I will note, maybe I don't want to speak for Andrew and Tyler here, but if you are a seller that is stressed out about the amount of stuff you have and you're thinking about listing, reach out to us. There are ways that we can help you. I'm not saying that we're a junk removal company, but I know myself and I know you guys before have helped sellers get possessions out of their house, either get it into a storage unit or help them toss it. Just whatever we could do to help. We're not afraid.
Thomas's nickname when he was holding down the offensive line at Norwalk High School was Pack Mule. He can move things.
Shout out John, our cousin John, IOCTS Cleaners. They got dumpsters. They do junk removal stuff. So we can either have a dumpster or dump trailer dropped off to you and you can do it, or pay to have them come in, or you can pay. It all.
You just said it, so don't go back.
I mean, I'm saying when you list with us, there's suites of services you get. If you're just looking for a dumpster, or you just want someone you're not moving, you can pay.
Yeah, I will say that. Yeah, we can talk about us covering the cost of you getting your junk out of there if you list your home and have intention of selling. But if you don't plan on selling for 7 years, then buy your own dumpster.
Yeah.
That's fair. And everyone should understand that.
Well, I think that was a good episode. Everyone, thank you for watching. In the description, you will see a link for our LinkedIn tree where you can follow the podcast on multiple different platforms. I encourage you guys to check that out. And once again, thank you. Have a great weekend.
Love you all.